here today and we're going to be talking about the magic of the color orange. Hopefully you all can hear me okay. I literally just got to our cottage in Maine like 5 minutes ago, and I am still in the midst of getting set up. So like I walked in, I immediately started setting up, and that's it.
Yeah.
So let me just get all of my things shared.
Reminder to get the mail out of the mailbox.
And then I'll be ready to go. Because in the pre-show today, we're going to be chatting about why Halloween colors are black and orange to start us off, and then we are going to chat about obviously orange by itself. So let me do this. I just realized that I forgot to share cross post. No, let's see. If I do that, what happens? I forgot to automatically share this to the group. So I'm trying to see if there's an easy way to do it. No, there's not. That's fine. We're gonna go in here. I swear to you, a bug just fell down in front of me. That was really exciting. Alright. So while I'm in the middle of doing this, let me see if I can try to multitask, because it's super boring for you to just sit here and listen to me babble on while I try to get this figured out. So first of all, let's talk about Halloween colors. So Halloween colors are black and orange. Of course, there are some other colors that are common too, purple and green, but I want to focus on orange and black today because those are kind of like the basic, the most common colors that people associate. Share to group, here we go. So the reason why, so a lot of the colors that are used to associate with specific holidays are actually opposites. So a really good example is Christmas. So Christmas is red and green. And when somebody somewhere, randomly chose orange and black, the idea was that those would be opposites as well. So come on, expand. He's doing fine, don't worry about it. And opposites basically mean, so the idea of, they're not literally opposites, of course. There we go. Oh, and I totally forgot to say, I realize now that I have this window open, that if you're here and if you're watching, please throw a hashtag live into the comments, or a hashtag replay if you're watching it on the replay, just so I know that you're here, because otherwise the Instagram and Facebook, they do not tell me. And I would very much like to know that y'all are here. Why can I hear? I can hear an echo of myself even though I've turned off my sound. Here, let's just do that. Problem solved. Perfect. So anyway, orange and black are supposed to be basically opposites. So the idea is that orange usually here in this particular situation represents autumn. Think about the idea of pumpkins and the color of the leaves and bonfires. So all of those things are orange. So and those are all things that are very much associated with autumn. So that's probably why they chose it. Other reasons too, and I'll get into that even more later. And of course the harvest and so on and so forth. Whereas black, on the opposite end of that spectrum, is representing death. Which of course, oh hi Katie, thank you for saying hi live. I'm so glad you're here. Again, this is supposed to be an interactive experience, so if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to throw them into the comments. I'll read them out loud. Everybody will know what you're saying, and we can have a conversation, because I would love to chat. If you're just joining me again, please throw hashtag live in the comments so I can see you. If you're watching on the replay, hashtag replay. So the idea with black. So black, it's said to represent death. Also, the idea, when I talk about death, we're talking about obviously more of a symbolic death. We're talking about wintertime as the death of, all of the living things that are happening outside. Also, the idea of the death as it refers to us being able to connect to our ancestors and the spirits of those who have passed on. And of course, also nighttime. Obviously, by the time Samhain is rolling around, the days are growing shorter, the nights are growing longer. So it's also associated with nighttime as well. Of course, too, we talk about night, talk about black. Black is also associated with protection. I already did my Color Magic series about black. I talked about that at length. But the idea of, people like to wear a lot of black around this time of year, especially for Samhain, and witches love to wear black in general. But one of the things I had always read is that when you wear all black, it can also be an issue. Hey, Sunnyside, up. down cake. I'm glad you're here. We're here to talk about color matching today. We're talking about the color orange. If you're watching, please throw hashtag live in the comments. It helps me see who's here, and plus it helps other people find us with the algorithm. So, where was I? Oh, wearing all black. I've heard that can leave you actually susceptible, and my theory on that is the idea that, you know, black is said to absorb negative energy, and when we look at that scientifically, science actually shows that black does absorb light from the normal spectrum. So if you look at it as light equals energy, then all of those things kind of are almost obvious in a way. But obviously, just like anything that's absorbent, it has a certain capacity where it stops. Congratulations, you're in the video. It has a certain place where it stops and it becomes saturated, and at that point it can actually, you know, not be doing its job anymore. Thank you for the live. Hey, Water Champ 413, please feel free to throw hashtag live in the comments so I know you're here. If you're just joining me on Facebook, same thing, hashtag live so I can say hi. Plus it helps other people find us with the algorithm. So I've read somewhere that wearing a little bit of red or a little bit of orange with the whole black can actually help prevent or make it last longer, I should say, and be more effective, especially when you're wearing a sound in particular. So that's just a thing I heard once. I don't remember where, but throwing that out there so you guys can ponder it in your brains, and if you like it and it makes sense to you, then work with it, and if it doesn't, feel free to continue wearing all black. The other thing too, talking about the idea of fire and orange, as far as being a Halloween color specifically, you know, that the ancient Celts would light community fires while leaving the fires in their own hearths to burn out. The fires could also be rituals to help ward off evil spirits, while the gateway between the living and the dead was considered to be weak. So in that way, the orange, or that color, can be seen as a protection color, especially around Samhain, based on that tradition. What are you looking for?
Sound bags.
They're over there usually in one of those drawers on the bottom.
Sorry.
It's okay. So that said, that's all I had to say about orange and black and Halloween. So let's just go into talking about straight up orange, because that's what you all came here for, right? So, cool story about orange. So the color orange actually didn't have a name until that specific name until the 16th century, which is around the time that the fruit oranges were brought to Europe by, let me make sure I get this right, brought to Europe from Asia by Portuguese merchants. How all of those things crossed, I'm not sure. But in actuality, the color orange is named after the fruit, not the other way around, which is kind of neat. So originally, before orange was named after oranges, it was often called yellow red. They really had no other descriptor for it. Oh, and my battery's running low here. It's a good thing I plugged in my charger already. Alternatively, other than yellow red, it was also sometimes called saffron, which was the closest natural thing that they had that was similar in color. So either yellow red or saffron were the terms that were frequently used. And my screen here has gone blank. If you're here watching me on Facebook, please let me know in the comments if you can see me. I don't know what's going on because it just kind of went dark on one screen and not on the other. So I don't know what that's about. I'm going to try a refresh real quick to see if that helps things on my end. Oh, here we go. It's fine. I don't know why I did that. Well, anyway, if you're here, please feel free to throw a comment so I know that you can see me all right. Hashtag live if you haven't already done it already. And the original dyes, so one of the things I always like to talk about in this is where the original dyes came from, because I think that's really interesting. And the original things that were used to create orange dyes were either something called realgar or orpiment. And both of those things had arsenic in them. So basically every original dye that was made would basically contain really toxic minerals. I don't know why, I just know that it is. Yay! Orpiment is a little bit more of a yellow shade, orange rather than the realgar, so that's where you get that more saffron color. But as far as and orange is also better, as I was reading, has been a really, really popular color among a lot of painters, especially Impressionists, because it really stands out. Obviously, if you think about orange, it's used in a lot of safety equipment, because next to red, which I talk about this in the red video, orange is one of the most visible colors, especially against blue. And as such, it's used in a lot of water safety equipment in particular, because water is bluish, supposedly. Obviously, when I look at water, it's not literally blue unless I'm like, you know, in the middle of the tropics, but you get the idea. But as far as the symbolism of orange and what you can use it for magically, orange is often associated with spirituality, spiritual enlightenment, wisdom, also the quest for knowledge. Reason being that a lot of Asian, like, monk sects in Tibet, in Asia, I said Asia already, but they often use that color in their robes. So, like, when you see monks in film or in photographs, they're usually wearing orange. Usually it's more of that yellow shade saffron orange rather than like the bright, like, safety orange like we think of. But also, you know, that's how it's kind of developed that association. And of course, it also represents the idea of perfection. When we talk about enlightenment, enlightenment is generally defined as reaching a level of perfection. So it's associated with perfection as well. And then orange is also associated with creativity and vitality. I'm just trying to fix this real quick. I feel like I'm angled weird. Obviously, you know, my note for this was like, think about how you feel when you see the color orange. Like, I think the color orange is very vibrant, you know, especially these safety orange colors. And as such, you know, it gives you a feeling of vitality and excitement and energy. The other thing, too, is, like I was mentioning, how orange is the opposite of blue. When we think about blue, it is the opposite of sort of, you know, a lot of, you know, energy. It really is tranquility and, like, calmness and serenity. And orange is the opposite of that, so it's energy and lots of things happening. And of course, you know, it's funny, I always think this is interesting that, you know, people always associate fire with the color red, which again I talked about in the past, but fire, when you look at it literally, is actually orange. So of course, orange is also a fire color. And fire is associated with transformation, so therefore orange is associated with transformation, especially if you think about that in the context of it being related to autumn and the fall, because most of the leaves that change color to a shade of orange. So there is that too. And then orange is also associated with fertility and abundance. Interestingly, in a lot of classical paintings, orange was used specifically for that symbolism. They would have, you know, women painted in orange dresses surrounded with orange fruit, and again, it was supposed to symbolize abundance and fertility. And of course, related to the autumn and the fall itself, we have the harvest, which is another, you know, idea that has to do with abundance as well. And also, interestingly, I read somewhere on the internet in the midst of my research for this that in Christianity, apparently orange also can represent gluttony, which I thought was interesting because it's sort of like taking the idea of abundance to an extreme. So, kind of another example, like you could say, of Christianity sort of taking symbolism that was considered positive and kind of twisting it into a less fun thing. And then, of course, finally, orange can also represent balance. Again, think about autumn. Hey, Cloud Raps, look, I'm talking about color magic, talking about the color orange today, talking about how orange right now represents the autumn and the idea of balance. You know, during the autumn we have the equinox, and during the equinox is when we have the balance of day and night. And therefore, orange also becomes associated with balance in that way too. So, that said, that's all I have to share with you about orange specifically. As far as like the pure info drop goes, now what I thought I would do is I'm going to actually show you some of my personal orange magical pieces, and then I'm also going to show you, I have some special crystals and stones that I have gathered that are available for custom wrapping for anybody who is interested. Wire wrapping, let me clarify. First thing I'm going to show you is I think I've pulled it onto screen a couple times. On our way here, because I'm actually in Maine right now, we're on vacation. We stopped at a store on our way here, and they had a giant display of Halloween masks, and I just could not help myself from buying this. If you're on the internet and you're looking at it in reverse, this says Momster, which I thought was hilarious. But it's, you know, it's orange, and how cute is it? And it's Halloween. I love Halloween stuff. Who doesn't? So this is my most recent acquisition. It's a little silly, but you know, orange is all about frivolity too. And actually, I forgot to include that here. I left a whole bunch of things out of the creativity and energy thing. I mentioned how it's the opposite of blue, but that in addition to it being the opposite of calm and serenity, Oftentimes, it's also orange also represents the idea of joyfulness and frivolity. In fact, there's a lot of information that's talking about how clowns specifically wear orange wigs, or more interestingly, maybe related to what we're doing, is that in a lot of, again, classic paintings, Dionysus, or I think I pronounced that right, and Bacchus are often depicted as also wearing orange robes to again symbolize the idea of frivolity and fun and, you know, merrymaking. Speaking of which, if you haven't already signed up for my email list, Bacchanalia is actually tomorrow, October 3rd, and I have a sale that's brewing, but you only get access to it if you're in my email list. So if you haven't done that yet, please feel free to do that. You can do it at the link that's in my bio on Instagram, which is bit.ly/VIP Witchymamas. And of course, it's also a pinned post at the top of my Facebook. I will put it into the comments on this live as well. So feel free to join up. You also get a 20% off coupon of your first purchase, which you can always save to use for a day that's not the sale. So let's see. Sign up. Ooh, I have my fingers over one, so it said dogum, not sign. That's silly. Sign up to get exclusive. No. Bacchanalia. Bacchanalia. Sale info. Alright, there's that. So anyway, there's that. And of course, orange is also associated with the sacral plexus and sensuality. At some point, I'm going to do a whole chakra series, so I don't want to dive too deep into that, but just know that it's also associated with that as well. So let me actually show you the other non-silly orange things I brought to show you today. The first one I guess I'll show you is this. This is actually, it's an ashtray. It's a vintage ashtray that I found at a vintage / Goodwill type thrift store. And I love it. I just think it's beautiful. So this is like amber glass. They call it amber glass, but it really looks orangey with a gold or brass. I'm not sure what it's actually made of, but a really beautiful floral base. And this is really great. I love vintage pieces. In fact, I have a whole vintage section on my website, so please be sure to check that out. Things that I found that I think you guys might like. So this is just kind of an example of the type of things that I like that you might find. But like I say, it's an ashtray, so you could totally use this as an incense burner or a place to rest any herbs that you are doing smoke cleansing with. But again, also represents all of the things that we just talked about: abundance and fertility and joyfulness and energy and creativity and all the good things. I thought this would be a really beautiful piece, especially for like fall maven celebrations. This gold color is of course associated with the sun, with solar energy and healing and vitality and power and all the good things. So here's one of my orange pieces. The other things I have are all crystals because that's kind of one of my things. This is called Mariposa Calcite. Now, if you know anything about calcite, you might also know this as dogtooth calcite. And apparently the difference between dogtooth and Mariposa calcite is nothing. But Mariposa calcite is the kind that is specifically found or mined in Mexico. And Mariposa, if you're not familiar with Spanish, means butterfly. So it's butterfly calcite. When I purchased, and I love this piece because even though it was mined, it actually is flat on one side and it makes a triangle. So it actually looks like the fire symbol, which I think is very, very cool. So that's why I bought that. I think it's extra pretty. It usually sits on my healing altar at home because the person I purchased it from, which is Crystal Cave on Etsy, shameless plug, I'll also throw them into the comments if you're watching on Facebook. Hey Rachel, we're talking about the color orange today. I'm actually already showing off some of my personal pieces, and then I'll show off the pieces I have available for wrapping. Obviously, go back and watch it on the replay after so you can see the whole thing. So dogtooth / Mariposa calcite is supposed to be really, really good for shadow work and transformation, which makes sense with the whole butterfly thing. And I also, like I said, it's a triangle like the fire symbol, which I love. So this usually sits on my healing altar at home. And then this other piece I have to show you, this is a piece of citrine. Now, if you're not familiar with why I'm doing this, hey, Brookie Babbling, I'm here talking about color magic. I'm going to be talking about orange today. Well, I talked about orange today. I actually was about to tell you that I just kind of finished I'm about to show off some of the pieces I have available for wrapping after I finish showing off a personal piece here. So please feel free to go back and rewatch from the beginning afterwards, by all means. So when I showed you guys, this is a piece of citrine. I said it's citrine. So a lot of citrine, when you see this orangey color, it's not actually literally citrine. It's actually heat-treated amethyst. And the reason why they do that is because amethyst is actually a lot more easy to come by than amethyst is, or than citrine is, excuse me. So they'll take amethyst and they'll heat treat it to make it this color. Now that said, that doesn't mean it doesn't have certain properties. It's just a little bit different. Natural citrine is usually more of a smoky color. It actually kind of resembles smoky quartz, but it has just a little bit more of a warm tone to it. I wish I had a piece to show you, but I couldn't find / didn't think to bring one with me. Like I said, I'm in Maine right now. Like I set up for this like 2 minutes after I got here. Again, if you're here joining me after the fact, please throw hashtag left in the comments. Helps other folks find this. Hashtag replay if you're watching on the replay. But yeah, this citrine usually sits on our family altar at home. It's also made some appearances in some of my Wisdom Wednesday tarot posts on Instagram and Facebook also lately too, because I think it's a really pretty piece. And it's sparkly. Sparklies are nice. Oh, I know what it is. I have a pair of earrings that have natural citrine in them. That's okay. So those are my personal pieces that I wanted to show you. My hair looks kind of orange today, so there's that too. So I have a few pieces. So I have, the first piece I'll show you is this. This is a piece of orange calcite, actually. It's actually, maybe it's a crystal. I don't want to say it's crystal to be wrong, but it's certainly in the shape of a crystal. Calcite is especially also good for multiplying energy. So basically you put energy into it. The idea is that it disperses and increases it at the same time. So, and then of course being orange, it has all the properties of orange too. So creativity and transformation and fertility and abundance and balance and wisdom and enlightenment and all the good things. So there's that one. Now these are really interesting pieces. I just picked these up the other day for you guys, special. And the guy at the store was like, I'm not really sure what kind of stone this is. So I'm saying it's Jasper. It looks like a Jasper to me. So these are really neat. I don't know how well everybody can see how the light is catching these, but they actually have like a loose facet to them, which I think is really cool, which gives them a really interesting shape. So we're calling this a Jasper. There's two of them. This one here, it's hard to tell on the screen with this lighting, but this one here is a little bit darker and a little bit shorter, and this one's a little bit lighter and a little bit taller. I know my fingers are like in the way here. Let's see if I can get it to stay in my hand without falling. That might be a no. Well, here, let me hold them this way at least, so you can kind of see the difference in height. So one's a little darker than the other, but I love these. I love the shape. I thought they were really pretty. That's why I grabbed them, even though we weren't 100% on what type of stone they were. If you could see them up close, I know some people are like, they are probably carnelian. They don't look like carnelian. They have a little bit different texture inside them. I do have some actual carnelian to show you. Fear not. But there's these. So the faceted orange jaspers available for wrapping. Almost dropped one. Here's the actual carnelian. So these are some little bitty pieces that I thought were really nice shapes. Here we go. So this is carnelian. Carnelian, I believe, is a type of silica-based chalcedony type. Ooh, I just noticed that this one has some really pretty banding in it. I don't know if anybody can actually see that. Well, you have to take my word for it. When you look at it, hold it up to the light, there's some banding. So there's two of these. This is carnelian. It is translucent, but not transparent, so the light shines through it. If you could see this in person, it sort of reminds me of the banding that you get in fluorite, but it's all orange and no different colors. Woo, throwing stuff at the keyboard. So there's those little guys. Those are really cute, tiny pieces that can make some nice, delicate wire wrap pieces. Also, if somebody really likes, I could possibly make them into earrings, since there are two of them. Or I could get, if I'm feeling brave, I might be able to turn them into a ring. Not necessarily my strong point. All right, I've got two more. So this piece is loosely orange, but I had to grab it because it was so pretty. So it's sort of a light orange. This is called hematoid quartz, which I can only assume is quartz with hematite inclusions in it. So it's a very pale orange. I don't know how you can see, but it almost looks like a window. And there's a lot of depth to it. So there's these inclusions that kind of run through it, which gives it a sort of a depth to the stone. So it's like you can look through the front and see the inclusion on the back side, and it's really, really pretty. And I thought that this would make a gorgeous, gorgeous necklace piece. You can see the back side's not nearly as pretty, but the front side has that sort of window effect that I thought was quite lovely. And hematite, here, we're going to look up the properties of hematoid quartz because I never got around to looking it up ahead of time. Hematoid quartz healing properties. Thank you for the auto suggest, Google. Hematoid quartz combines the amplifying properties of quartz, amplifying energy, it means, with the balancing and stabilizing properties of hematite. It can assist not only in removing negativity, but also in transforming and transmuting negative energy into pure love and light. So that's hematoid quartz. Plus, it's really pretty to look at. And then the final piece I have to show you, the pièce de résistance, which is pretty diesel, but it needed to come home with me because either someone here wants it or it needs to live on my altar. This is a piece of apophyllite. So you can see these are actually small crystals on here. Let me get back to Facebook so I can see your comments. And the crystals have a different structure than quartz. I know you can see it's sparkly. I don't know why you can see the structure of it, but the ends of the crystals are flat on top. You can maybe make it out up here. Almost like, and then again, I try to see if there's a particularly large one on here that would be a good example to show you. Well, maybe, I don't know, this one here. You can see this is a crystal here. Let me see if the light will catch that. You can kind of see the shape of it. And, you know, it's like this little piece just sticking up. So I'll hold it down here. I know that that was for Instagram. Hey, Brianna E., I'm doing Color Magic today. We're talking about the color orange. I'm actually just wrapping up. I was just, I made it funny, wrapping up by showing you off some pieces that I have available for wire wrapped. Custom wire wrapping. This is a giant piece of apophyllite crystal cluster. And actually I was just realizing that there's this crystal on top here that's really good, easy to see the shape of too. So, but I thought this was such an interesting piece and it was such a cool color. I was like, it would make a really neat, like, big like statement necklace piece, and it'd be really fun to wrap with the shape of it. So this is also available for custom wrapping. Real quick, I'll show you, Brianna, since you just showed up the other pieces. I also had a piece of orange calcite. There are a couple pieces of carnelian here, which could either be delicate pendants or earrings or maybe a ring. Oh, I didn't even think to show you guys I have this amber ring too. That's also orange. Bricky Babbling says that she loves the obsidian pendant I made for her last week when I did obsidian. I'm so glad you love it. I have been really enjoying making these custom pieces for people. I assume that Rachel's still here, but Rachel has a lapis pendant that I made from a couple weeks ago too, so that's also awesome. There's this really pretty piece of hematoid quartz that has that sort of a window effect to it, and then these orange jasper pieces that are sort of faceted, that are a really cool shape. So if anybody's interested in having any of those things custom wire wrap special for you, please DM me or post in the comments below, or of course you can email me at ecstaticeartharts, all one word, all lowercase, @gmail.com. And I would love to work with you on that, especially that apophyllite piece, because I think that is like a super, super cool crystal. So that said, I hope that you guys all have a wonderful weekend, because that's all I have for you today. If you joined me midway through, like I said, please feel free to go back and rewatch from the beginning. If you aren't already signed up for my email list, I have a special sale brewing this weekend for tomorrow for Bacchanalia. And if you want to get in on that, it is exclusive to my VIP list, so you have to head on over to my bio and visit that. Or if you're on Facebook, I just posted it in the comments of this video, and you can find it there too. So I hope you guys have a good weekend. I hope I see you at the sale. And I hope you all take care. All right. Blessed be.